So, Henry Kissinger sounds like the Master from Doctor Who. He literally says, if you can't hear the drums of war beating, you're deaf. I might be paraphrasing. You know, that actually got me to thinking, because I do like Doctor Who. I don't get to watch it too often, but Doctor Who is one of the better science fictions out there. It's more realistic. I know the whole time-traveling phone booth isn't realistic, but the idea of the Time Lords is that they are so evolved that for them technology resembles magic. They are as celestial beings that are on a different emotional atmosphere. A lot of times they're depicted as childish and erratic, but that is because when you evolve into that spiritual state of mind, you begin to realize that there's only principles in this world. Everything else is just an extension of those principles, good or for evil. Doctor Who is one of the few Time Lords that exemplifies the positive principles, whereas the Master is used as the stereotypical evil principle. It is almost like a science fiction version of Divine War. It is almost like science fiction Christianity. I don't know if it was intended that way, but that's the way I interpret it. And what I want to get across here is that I can predict that this will happen, that we probably will go into a world war. And it probably won't be a war like bombs and soldiers, ground troops going into land and just shooting everybody up. That's the wars of the past. That is wars of a different era, and that's not how we do things now. It'll probably be an economic war, it'll be a psychological war, it'll probably be another Cold War, and it will just be intimidation and market allocation. You know, they'll switch money between hands, and they'll do all this bullshit to try to starve one market over another, build empires, you know, establish corporate rulership, and we will probably separate into several branches of major hyperstates. We will conglomerate into multi-continental superstates that will transcend any one country. America will probably merge with Canada and Mexico, the North American Union, the European Union, the Chinese Union, the Union. But it won't be a union as the Soviet Union. It will not be this collective principle based off the workers, based off revolution, based off you know, ideals. It will be unification under the guise of corporatehood. It'll be unification because the people that control the businesses will be using the government and using, you know, people's ignorance to battle each other. And it will get to the point where country will not matter. It'll matter what your corporate logo is. If you're wearing a Coca-Cola shirt, or if you're wearing a Sweet Bay shirt, or if you're wearing a, you know, things like that. And it's going to be a very grim, dark time. You know, the thing is, people think that war is so terrible. Yeah, people die, and that sucks. You know, sucks especially if it's your family. But there are fucking 7 billion people in the world. Do you think a few 100,000, hell, even a few million is going to make a difference? That's not going to make a dent in things. Human beings are the most expendable, most easily available commodity. They are a resource like any other. The elite know that. The elite, that's how the elite see you, as a resource. They don't see you as an individual. They don't see you for your emotions or for your ambitions or for your goals or for your past troubles, your shames and your disappointments. They don't see all that. They don't care. You're a resource. And more than likely, you're more of a resource than a man anyway. It's not like you have all that many thoughts going on in your head. And things are just going to get to the point where it's only going to matter their sectors of power. But they're all centered around the same principles. Greed, evil, malevolence, bloodshed, needless psychopathic bantering. Because that is our world. Our world is ran by evil people. At the top and at the bottom. Because, you know, they wouldn't be able to get to the top unless people at the bottom built them up to the top. You know, you're the ones that stand on your you stand on your hands and knees and you let them climb on top of you to get in those positions, because you have no principles. None of you do. And evil will always prevail in this world, at least until God comes back. But that's just the way it is. I almost look at it like that's why I call it the Warhammer 40k theory, because Warhammer 40k is like that, where every faction is the bad guy, even though they seem to exercise Space Marines as heroic because, well, they're human, and that gives us some semblance of likeness. So we look at them as the heroes because they are the closest thing to us. But they are not supposed to be the good guys. There are no good guys in Warhammer 40k. And that's how you need to look at this world. There might be wars, there might be battles, there might even be difference in principles. There is a conflict in morality. But that doesn't signify good morality. That just signifies a morality. That just signifies a principle, a spirit. But it doesn't necessarily mean a good spirit. That is something you need to come to terms with. Because if you don't, you're going to be manipulated into following a spirit you may not want to follow. You might become something that you never imagined you would be and never wanted to be. And you have no control over anything physically in your world. You may as well have control over your own spiritual evolution. That is what I'm trying to get across to you here. And, I can only say that so much, because there's no way I can convince you. You can only be taught what you want to be taught. If you don't want to believe that shit, if you want to just ignore me, you're going to. I make these videos for like-minded people. I make it for people that also feel that way and have been through the same things I've been through, and to show them that, you're not alone. We all go through shit like that. Well, not all of us, but there are many of us out there that do. And just you have to understand that this world is evil versus evil. Might be different kinds of evil, but that's what it is. That's why I like Dungeons and Dragons, the Blood Wars, because the chaotic evil, the haphazard psychopaths, serial killers, rapists fight, the lawful evil, contractors, politicians, diplomats, and, the lawful evil devils plot and scheme, and they backstab each other, and they conspire, and the chaotic evil abyss of demons, just are hordes of armies, and they're violent, and they fight amongst each other, and it's just chaos and just despicableness, and they tear each other's eyeballs out and shit. And you notice they both backstab each other, they both do shit to each other, they do shit to the mortal realm, but they do it differently. That's the difference. That doesn't mean good and evil don't exist. That doesn't mean morality is subjective. It only means things are different. There are a periodic table of principles and sins to be considered, and that's what the church isn't talking about. That isn't something that you're if you're a Christian or you're a Muslim or whatever you are, they're not talking about these things. They're not talking about all the different evils out there. And I'm getting a call, so I'll have to cut this short.